You're listening to The Real Estate Ride. Make sure to subscribe and enjoy the show.
Yes, we have a great case study for you today. And this case study is huge because we bought this property, I could say with none of our own money, but you can see from the screen that we bought it for $10. Literally.
Yes, we literally have a check for $10 made out to the seller.
Yep. And we used no bank. They did not pull our credit. There was no credit report. There was no debt to income ratio. Any of the stuff that the bank requires. Okay.
None of that existed with this deal.
So, yeah. So we want to share with you today how we made $4,000 a year off of this house that we bought for $10 using our BRRRR Master Plan. And if you wonder what that means,
we have been in real estate for the past 20 years, and Jay and I have developed a coaching program as well as a coursework program that is called the Real Estate Master Plan.
yeah.
And we have done different coursework and have taught different things over the years, as well as currently to all of our students, just different ways we do real estate. So the BRRRR plan is buy, rehab, rent, refinance.
Exactly.
So this is one of our ways that we do real estate every day, and have been doing it that way for quite some time. So we're just going to go over this one case study with you guys this time. And hopefully, if you have any questions, you can let us know. It's Annie at jandannieadkins.com
Or J-A-Y at jandannieadkins.com.
Yep. And I think we can put that information at the end of this. So if you guys have any questions, because I do not think that we can actively ask questions on this training today.
And we coach people all over the U.S. And this is what we consider one of our creative financing master plan deals. Okay. And it's creative because we bought it for $10.
All right. So this is the house itself. And this will just give you a 30,000 foot overview of the case. And we're going to talk about who we helped, what we did to help, the goal, and all of that. As you can see, the problem, the strategy that we used, the execution, what the results were, all of the information. So from start to finish on this deal. So it's a nice little 2-story house in a neighborhood that is pretty, I would say, B class, probably.
Yeah. Class B. Mm-hmm. Converting more to owner occupants now. I would say it was a more heavily rented area previously. And now it's probably 50-50 rentals and owners. It was probably 75-25 before. 75 rentals, 25% owners.
So it's a single family home, as you can see. It has 3 bedrooms and 1 bath, a detached garage out back. It's on an alley.
Laundry.
Yes, the main floor laundry. So really reasonable and a well-maintained house overall before we got it.
Yeah.
So as you know, we are real estate investors. We do this every day of our lives.
Yeah.
We actually knew the owners of this property from a outside source. Our kids dance at a local dance studio, and I used to dance at the same dance studio. The wife and mother that owned this house danced with me, and then her son danced with our kids. So the relationship was there. She knew that we were in real estate and had been doing it for a while. Her husband passed away unexpectedly, and they had just moved into a brand new house. So this was a rental property for them, and they had just moved. The one tenant had decided to leave, so they had just moved all of that junk out and had put new carpet and new paint, and she just really didn't want to mess with it with her husband just recently passing.
Yep. And the market was still a little down then. That was a few years ago. It was just starting to recover. And the kitchen hadn't been updated. And I know some of you are probably familiar with buy, fix, and sell, which we do a lot of that. But you would have to, for us anyway, we would have to buy it and fix it for 70% of the after repair value. And the debt on it was just a little too high for her to be able to sell it cash for the price that we needed. And so we opted to say, hey, how about we take the property over from you?
So our goal ultimately was to relieve any stress for her about that property because she didn't want to have to deal with it. Her husband had just passed. She had one son that was still in school. She's a teacher herself. So it was just very difficult for her to even deal with it. She has a few health concerns. So she just wanted it to be done.
Oops, sorry, Annie.
That's okay.
And the property still needed some work, even though she was finishing paint for the most part and did the carpet. There were like some doors missing off the kitchen cabinets. Kitchen cabinets were older. There was some flooring that needed replaced still in the kitchen and laundry. No trim in the laundry area. Some broken windows. Just really minor stuff.
Yeah. And her husband was the primary contact for this rental property. So she really didn't have anything in it. She just enjoyed getting the money on a monthly basis. So
yeah,
she just did not want to mess with it. And, that's a perfect opportunity for us because we're always looking at either adding to our rental portfolio or increasing our profits with doing a flip or a wholesale deal. So we always look at all possibilities for each property that we come across and not just one way to exit the situation. So again, the problem was the tenant had torn it up. Her husband had taken care of the property and now he is deceased. She was very concerned about her bank calling the loan due if she wasn't involved in it at all.
Yep. And so I said, hey, I found out it's a local bank. So this isn't something you could do with like our mortgage holders, Wells Fargo. You can't call them and they're not going to do something like this. But this was a community bank local to us. And I said, let's call them and talk to them. And so we got a letter from them stating that they were fine with us taking over the payments. And they just wanted to make her aware that she was still financially responsible for that loan. If we stopped paying, then it would affect her credit individually. Okay. And then she was also worried about the money that she just put in for the carpeting, and who was going to cover taxes and insurance, and who was going to be.
That's all that it is.
Okay.
I was trying to do the same thing, which is why I flipped the other screen and then I flipped back real quick. So she wanted to know who was going to cover the taxes, who was going to cover the insurance, and who was going to be responsible for any repairs or any issues that came up with the property.
So we write it in all of our contracts that we are responsible for repairs. We are responsible for the taxes. We are responsible for the homeowner's insurance. And we even will add her to our homeowner's insurance policy so that she's covered as well, since she's still the lien holder on the mortgage itself. Okay. And so we got the letter from the bank. They said it was fine. Put that in our file just in case, that lender, that particular banker leaves the bank. We still have a letter on the bank letterhead saying that this particular banker said that it was fine.
And that it was okay by this particular bank. Yeah, for
yes.
sure.
And we like to get into properties with none of our own money. And so I said, well, would it be okay because she had $2,000 in the carpet, would it be okay with you if we paid you at the end when we refinance it? And she said, yes, that was fine. So we wrote that into the agreement.
So our strategy, like I said earlier, we always go into every deal that we look at with more than one exit strategy because we have multiple ways of doing real estate. And, we don't want to go in closed-minded or narrow-minded on what we could or could not do with the property. Jay has his real estate license in our state. So that's always an option that we could just retail sell it. We do fix and flips. We do rental properties. We do wholesaling. We do all kinds of stuff. So we always go in with a real open mind on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it.
And I honestly mentioned to her, I could list this for you and sell it, but you're going to have to put more work into it to get it sellable. And she just didn't want to do that. So having us take the property over instantly allowed her to do this and wash her hands of that particular property. And then that was stress off of her mind that she didn't have to worry about anymore. Okay, so as you can see, we did some minor kitchen cabinet repair, gutter and downspout repair. We did some flooring and some trim. And so I think initially we had, I think, around $2,000 into that property.
2 or 3, I think.
Initially. And it already had $15,000 in equity. And so we improved the equity position by doing those additional repairs. Even though we put $2,000 into it, that made it worth about $25,000 more. So put $2,000 in, get $10,000 more in value. Okay. And this is in a targeted first-time home buyer market for us here in Central Ohio. And so we could get someone to pay as little as $3,000 down as an option to buy it. And we could buy it from her for $10. And so that's what we did.
And Jay has to go take a break real quick because we have a whole bunch of stuff happening at our house as well. But I'll continue to stay here while he goes and deals with one of the contractors here. Sorry about that.
It's duct cleaning day.
Never a dull moment, whether you're involved in projects at your house or at your own place. There's that, or in the safe. So, again, she had already put carpet in it, like we talked about several times. We talked to the bank and got the letter stating that they were okay with that, because again, if the banker quits and you only have word of mouth agreements, that doesn't work for when the banker quits or gets fired or leaves or whatever. So, as we said before, we had mentioned that the property needed multiple repairs, and if she would be okay with paying her the $2,000 at a later date, and she said that she was fine. Putting a lot of money into it to improve the property over time is what our plan was, so that it was rentable as is, and then we could just improve it as we went. So that we didn't have a large sum of money coming out of our pocket initially, and we could also potentially fill it with a tenant buyer who could put some sweat equity into it as well. So the results were, and here you can see the $10 check that we did give her. And it was $10 to acquire, with the additional $2,000 paid at closing once we refied it. We spent $483 to record the land trust. We spent about between $1,200 and $2,000, sorry about that, to repair it, to get it ready to rent. We were paying $4,000 a year, which is $16,000 total. $6,500 in option fees, and for a total of $22,500. And actually, that number is what we received in rents. So the option fee was for a lease option purchase. It's a non-refundable option fee for a tenant buyer that has been screened completely, qualified, or at least pre-qualified by a mortgage lender. And when we talk about that, we're talking about getting them into contact with a mortgage lender. They will pull their credit. They'll talk to them about where they're at now, where they need to be to buy, and how to get there if there's a huge gap between the two spots, right? And we can talk more about that in a second. We bought it on August 7th. And then we started marketing it actually August 7th, 2017. We started marketing it in September, around the 9th, I believe, according to our records. The first application and lead came in on September 19th, and it was filled and rented by November the 1st. So very quickly done, because it was in very good shape. And actually, with a lease option tenant, and we can talk about that in more detail in just a second, but the option fee, again, is non-refundable, so we keep it. So if they don't execute on the purchase, then we just move them out and do it again. Move another tenant buyer in. So these are the people that we used on our team in order to have this happen. And these people are crucial to our success in real estate, and people that you need to consider to have on your team as well. And actually, Jay and I have done a training about building your A team of players. And this is exactly what we talk about there. So you need a title company so that you can do title searches to make sure that there's no liens. So there are liens other than a mortgage. In the state of Ohio, the water bill goes with the property. So there's water bill liens potentially on the property. If the previous tenant or the previous owner didn't pay their water bill, it gets attached to the property, and that comes up in a title search. State taxes can go on properties. Federal taxes, liens could be put on properties. City tax liens could be put on properties. Mechanics liens. There's all kinds of different liens other than mortgages. So you really need to have a title company that does a title search to make sure you have clean title before you sell or buy any property. An attorney. So again, we use an attorney to review and approve all of our land trust documents. We've used an attorney to actually draw up the land trust documents for us. And we've done these so often that we kind of have a template that we just fill in the pertinent information on our end and then send it to our attorney, and he reviews everything, makes sure that the parcel number is correct and the legal description is correct, and then signs his name to it and, puts his stamp of approval on it. And then they also take those documents and record those at the county recorder's office for us. So that proves that you are in control of the property if it's in a land trust or if it's in a land contract. We've done both of those. We use our local MLS to compare sales in the area with like properties. And you would be amazed on how many real estate agents don't actually know how to run comps correctly. We have run into this more and more and more, which is one reason that Jay actually got his real estate license way back when, because we were finding that really no realtors that we were coming in contact with, or at least very few, were investor friendly and knew what we were looking for and how to do what we were doing. So the MLS we use to run comparable sales. So we make sure that we can run them to make sure that the after repair value on a property is where we need it to be. We have a formula that it all kind of falls into place to make sense, right? So we need to make sure that the comparable sales are on point. We used our software to determine market rents, whether that's Rentometer.com or whether that is a software CRM that we have, all of the information for marketable rents, whether it's an average rent, whether it's a specific dollar amount rent. We definitely use software and online tools to determine that. So we're not just pulling numbers out of the air. We own a construction company now. Most people do not, but we have done so many flips and have so many doors in our rental portfolio that it just made more sense. So we have construction people that work specifically for our construction company to do our deals. But you need to make those connections because not everybody is going to own their own construction company. So you need to make sure that you have a list of contractors that you can pull from for different things, and more than one in each area, because I don't know how many times we have come across a lot of our projects that we have going, 4 or 5 projects at a time, that we don't have enough electricians or people experienced in electric to do all of the electrical work. So then that means your projects are going to be put on hold if you only have one contractor doing them, because one person can only do so much, right? We met with the owner and negotiated the deal. Jay is a key negotiator. He can sell anything to anybody, whether they want it or not. And it's just mind-boggling to me. So he is a master negotiator. So he does all of that.
I have some children for sale. Do you want some?
We have an admin team that does the marketing. Again, all of this stuff isn't something that you have to have hired out, but depending on how big you want to grow or how big your business already is, or, if you have money to throw at your business, but not time, you're going to have somebody to do all of this stuff for you. So we have an admin team of 5 that kind of pick up all of the slack on the day-to-day that Jay and I either don't want to do anymore, don't have time to do anymore, is below our pay grade anymore, which sounds really snotty, but in all honesty, it's not the highest and best use of our time for me to call and get insurance on a house.
Not anymore.
Or set up utilities. I mean, that's what we did originally when we had to do it and I didn't have anybody else to do it. That was the highest and best use of my time, but not anymore.
And then we were doing one deal at a time.
Right.
And now we're doing 10 to 15 deals at a time. So to get to a scale, you have to hire additional people to take stuff off of your plate if you want any kind of life outside of just working.
Right. So we do, we have the admin team do our marketing. So we market it on Facebook. We market it on Instagram. We put signs out. We put it on Craigslist if we have to. We put it on selling walls on Facebook and social media. We put it in the paper once upon a time. We put
V-Flyer.
V-Flyer, which is a program that Jay gets through his broker, but it is available to lots of different people for fees. So it just depends on how big and how bad you want this business to be for you and your families. And again, we use a lot of different softwares now, but
Freedom Soft, we absolutely love. It organizes everything for us and time stamps it, date stamps it, and it's just a extremely powerful tool. We can go back and look at people that called on this property for rent years ago, and it will show us all of the people that called with the call capture phone number, keeps all their messages, their phone numbers. And so if you want, you can build a list of potential tenants and market to them again later.
Yeah.
It's not really important in this market because we get 100 applicants for one rental these days.
But in this market, you then can keep that information for any additional properties that may fit that criteria that they were approved for as well, and go back and say, okay, this isn't available, but we have this coming up.
Hey everybody, it's Jay.
This is Annie.
We are so grateful for you joining us on our podcast and listening in and participating. We want to offer you this additional free bonus, and that is joining our Facebook group.
Yes, where we will have other individuals, not just us, but having conversations on all things real estate, and we would love to have you join us. So just click the link below and head on over and join our group.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the other side.